Hello one and all, and welcome back to the channel for the second movie in the series that I'm doing leading up to James Gunn's new Superman movie starring David Corenswet. Today we are talking about Superman 2, who is directed by Richard Lester, and Richard Donner is involved in this film. However, only 20% of his footage is used and it's uncredited, so it is mainly like Richard Lester, but Richard Donner is definitely still involved because there is a Richard Donner cut of the movie, but we'll talk about that a little later in the review. So let's get to it. Alright, so this movie is so good. I love revisiting these movies because you really realize like how good these movies were, or for some people how bad they might have been for them, and then other older movies that you go back to that you might have had like a positive memory about it, but then when you go back to it, it's like, ooh, this did not date very well. Of course, we have Christopher Reeve as Superman / Clark Kent, Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, Valerie Perrine as Eve Tessmacher, or Lex Luthor's girlfriend and side lackey, or whatever you want to call her. And Ned Beatty as Otis, which is Lex Luthor's like other underling, but he's kind of like a kind of underling, which... Anyway, whatever. In this movie, we have a Superman saving the planet from some terrorists that have a nuclear bomb or nuclear device, and Superman tosses that into space. Nuclear device explodes in space. Now, he doesn't know that General Zod, Ursa, and Non, respectively played by Terrence Stamp, who is General Zod, Sarah Douglas, who is plays Ursa, and then Jack O'Halloran, who plays Non, doesn't know that they're imprisoned in the Phantom Zone and it's in their space sector. So the shockwaves from the nuclear device exploding caused the Phantom Zone to kind of break, and their imprisonment was no more. So they were all free. They all go to the moon and they're like, oh wow, you know, there's something different here. We can survive in here, out here, and we have different strength. And then they meet these astronauts, and it's just obviously not good for them because hello, they're evil Kryptonians. So this movie was very interesting to me because in this movie we have that famous Niagara Falls scene where this kid is playing around and then he falls, into the falls. But then Lois has some inkling that Clark might be Superman or Superman might be Clark or both, and she kind of tests it a little bit, and it's so funny because when we were watching it, she just tosses herself into the river, and Clark is like, oh my god, Lois, what are you doing? And
oh my god. Superman! Swim! Swim! Help! Look out for the rocks! Oh, God.
And it's like, she was so convinced that Clark would turn into Superman and save her. And, I didn't really remember the movie that well, so I thought that he had did it then. But Clark just let her go down the river, bro. He just said, Lois, grab onto that log.
Get the bag! What?
No, dude, it's so funny because, like, it's not funny because she's in danger, but at the same time, it's funny because she put the cart before the horse, and I mean, she was right, but Clark was not ready and willing to admit and show her that he was Superman. So I thought it was pretty funny how he just let her go down that river and, like, almost drown, and then he's stepping on the rocks all, like, trying to help her.
You're what I thought was Superman?
Sorry.
This is really embarrassing.
It's just, oh man, Christopher Reeves was just a phenomenal Clark Kent and Superman. It's just, wow, I love these movies. I also really like the writing in this film because we get to where Clark admits that he's Superman to Lois, and they have this whole thing, and then he, in essence, kind of gives up his powers to basically live a normal life with Lois. Like, he wants to live a normal life with her. He wants to embody humanity to its fullest and not have to worry about saving the world and leaving her and all this stuff. So he gives up his powers. Unfortunately, though, Ursa, Non, and General Zod come to Earth, and then they start wreaking madness and mayhem. It's just insane that this happens because it's like, of course this would happen when he gives up his powers. So we go through the whole movie, we go through the motions, and we get to where Superman obviously gets his powers back. And it's funny how Lex Luthor tries to play all sides, but he thinks that Superman is kind of dumb, and he tricks Lex Luthor, and he tricks the Kryptonians, you know, Zod, Ursa, and Non. He weakens them in his Fortress of Solitude because of Lex Luthor's idiocy, thinking that he would actually be able to one-up Superman in Superman's own home. It's just insane.
This molecule chamber, it takes away their powers, see, and turns them into ordinary human beings. Now, if you could...
Don't go in there, General. It's a trap.
Luther, you poisonous snake!
That's a molecule chamber. It makes people like you into people like me.
You've done well, Luther.
Kneel before Zod.
Take my hand and swear eternal loyalty to Zod.
He did it to them. I mean, the lights were on out here, while he was safe in there.
A lot of this is practical effects and no CGI really at all, because there wasn't really much CGI to deal with back in that day. So a lot of this are practical effects and just, you know, straight up, you know, fight scenes that were like, you know, one tone and, you know, like the you know, like that stuff. But there was just a nice nostalgia about it, and it was a nice like simplicity to it. Sometimes less is more, and I think with these movies particularly, the way how they were made was perfect for the time, and even now they've aged very well. Some of the dialogue, you know, is, you know, dated, and it's like, okay, well, come on, we wouldn't talk like that today. But then again, there are some terrible movies that have come out the last few years, even this year. I mean, horrendous. If you watch Mystery Science Theater, you will see that you haven't really seen bad movies until you watch that, and you see the movies that they cover, because good gracious God, Atlantic Rim was atrocious. Okay, we're not gonna get to those. No. Some of the things that people don't realize about these movies, and like Zack Snyder's movies, and Brandon Routh's Superman and everything, and Dean Cain's and all these other Superman, Tyler Hoechlin, Tom Welling, like, it's okay that it's not the same. It's okay that the story isn't clear cut or cookie cutter dry, just like how it was in the original movie or whatever the case is. It doesn't have to be the same. There's a multiverse for a reason, and if it's done tastefully, it will work. And that's why Smallville worked. That's why, you know, Superman and Lois worked. The one with Dean Cain and the one with Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch. There's a reason why Brandon Routh's Superman Returns worked, because in essence it was like a sequel to Christopher Reeves' Superman. And people, I'm not sure if people really realized that or even cared about that, you know, when it came out, because they just dogged on him as Superman and dogged on that movie, and he did a great job. This movie also has an interesting thing at the end where Clark, or Superman, kisses Lois, and she forgets that Clark is Superman and Superman is Clark. It's called the amnesia kiss. And come to find out, I actually didn't even know this before, but in the actual Richard Donner cut of the movie, there is no amnesia kiss, and I did not know that. I was just doing some research before doing this review, which I guess is very interesting, because I mean, in Richard Lester's one, which is this one that we're talking about, there is an amnesia kiss. So I thought that was very interesting, because it's kind of a very serious thing in the story. You know, Superman and Lois, you know, Clark and Lois, that she knows who he is, and he knows that she knows who he is, and they're okay with that. So it was just very interesting to see that and remember that from when I saw it when I was younger. It has been fun so far going back and watching these movies, and I hope that those of you who are watching these videos and keeping up with this series, you know, leading up to James Gunn's Superman, I hope that you're enjoying these videos as well. Which Superman movie is your favorite? The first one with Christopher Reeves leading all the way up to Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, and even Superman and Lois for the CW TV show. Anything. I'm welling with Smallville, Brandon Routh Superman. Like, which one is your favorite? Let's talk about it. Thanks so much for checking out the video, guys. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. Thanks again for watching, guys. Until the next one.